Welcome back to the Lore Vault. It's good to see you here, seeker of stories. We've all heard the stories. Zeus, the king, hurling thunderbolts. Athena, goddess of wisdom, brilliant in battle. Poseidon, splitting the earth with his trident. We are taught that Mount Olympus was a place of supreme power, a pantheon of divine perfection. But what if that's a lie? What if the gleaming marble halls of Olympus were also crowded with divine disappointments? Gods who were shockingly, profoundly useless. Today, we are not talking about the strongest. We are ranking the 5 most useless Greek gods. Gods who seemingly had no power, no great myths, or who failed embarrassingly again and again. But here is the 10,000-word question. If they were so useless, why did the ancient Greeks build massive temples for them? Why did they waste precious livestock and wine sacrificing to them? The answer isn't about power. It's about a much deeper, stranger secret about the human psyche. And the God who takes our #1 spot will redefine everything you think you know about Olympus.
Rank 5. Iris, the second-rate messenger. We begin our list with a god who personifies a difficult corporate problem: redundancy. I give you Iris, the goddess of the rainbow. Her job description? Messenger of the gods. Sounds important, until you remember they already had Hermes, and what a messenger he was. Hermes was the god of thieves, of commerce, of travelers, of liars. He was cunning, fast, and multi-talented. He could guide souls to the underworld, invent the lyre, and steal a herd of cattle all before his first nap. Hermes was the dynamic, high-speed, multi-platform CEO of divine communication. Iris carried messages and made rainbows. That was it.
Her uselessness. Her crime is one of redundancy. In a pantheon already employing a superstar of logistics, Iris feels like a relic, a holdover from a quieter time. When Hermes delivers a message, it's an event. It's filled with trickery, speed, and consequence. When Iris delivers a message, it's a delivery. In the Iliad, Homer's great epic of war, Iris gets plenty of stage time. But what does she do? She's a glorified errand girl for Hera and Zeus. In Book 2, she's sent to warn the Trojans that the Achaeans are coming. In Book 3, she disguises herself to tell Helen to come watch Paris and Menelaus fight. In Book 8, she tells Hera and Athena to stop trying to join the fight.
She is, in essence, the divine equivalent of an email notification. She never schemes. She never tricks anyone. She never holds a weapon. She is utterly, completely neutral. Her entire personality is polite and fast. In the brutal, passionate world of Greek gods, polite is just another word for boring. If Olympus were a modern corporation, Hermes would be the star executive closing deals in 3 different time zones. Iris would be the one stuck forwarding memos from HR. She is, seemingly, the definition of useless. Or is she? This is where we peel back the first layer of the why. To understand why Iris mattered, you have to stop thinking like a modern CEO. and start thinking like an ancient Greek.
Why did they worship Iris? Because she was not a messenger like Hermes. She was the message itself. Think about what a rainbow is. It is a physical, visible bridge that connects the sky, the realm of the gods, with the earth, the realm of mortals. You can see it. It is a tangible link. Hermes is a god of secular communication. He's the patron of merchants haggling in the agora, of politicians spinning lies on a dusty road. His messages are about the business of the world. They are fast, chaotic, and often untrustworthy. Iris is the goddess of sacred communication.
When Iris appears, it is not a negotiation. It is a command. It is the heavens opening up to speak directly to mortals. Her presence is the miracle. She is the visual representation of the divine touching the mundane. She doesn't just carry the message. She is the divine presence, made visible in light and color. There's a reason she is often depicted as the personal attendant to Hera, the Queen of Heaven. She doesn't just run errands. She is the extension of royal authority. When Iris descends, it is Hera descending. Furthermore, she had a role far more terrifying than Hermes ever did. Iris was also responsible for gathering the sacred water from the river Styx, the river of oaths. When a god was to swear an unbreakable vow, it was Iris who brought the dark, primordial water to Olympus. The gods would swear upon it, and if they lied, they would be cast into a coma for a year and exiled from the pantheon for 9.
Hermes may be the god of liars, but Iris is the goddess of the very thing that stops liars in their tracks. She is the enforcer of divine truth. So, is she useless? As a character, yes, she has no agency. She is boring. She is the glorified intern of Olympus. But as a symbol, she is absolutely vital. She represents the fragile, beautiful, and terrifying connection between mortals and gods. She is the promise that the gods are watching, and the warning that their words are absolute. The Greeks didn't worship her because of what she did. They worshipped her because of what she was, the very line of communication to the divine.
Rank 4. Hebe, the waitress goddess.
Our number 4 most useless god is Hebe, the goddess of youth. And her job on Olympus was, quite literally, to be a waitress. No, I'm not exaggerating. Hebe's primary function, her main mythological role, was to be the cupbearer to the gods. She served them nectar and ambrosia. She poured the drinks that kept them immortal. She was, in essence, the divine catering staff. Her entire existence seems designed to be overlooked. She is the daughter of Zeus and Hera, royalty of the highest order, and she spends her days topping off her dad's cup. She doesn't have a single major myth where she is the protagonist. She is a supporting character in other people's parties. And the ultimate proof of her uselessness? She gets fired, or at least retired. In some myths, she's dismissed after she trips and falls, clumsily exposing herself. A moment of divine wardrobe malfunction. In others, she simply stops. And who replaces her? Ganymede, a beautiful mortal Trojan prince that Zeus, in the form of an eagle, kidnaps because he finds him attractive. Let's process this. Hebe, a full-blooded goddess,
daughter of the king and queen of heaven, is replaced by Zeus's mortal boy toy. It's the ultimate divine insult. It proves that her role was so meaningless, so non-specialized, that literally anyone could do it. Her one job was be young and hold a pitcher. And Zeus decided a cute teenager from Troy could do it better. She is the very picture of divine nepotism, given a ceremonial role that holds no real power, and even then, she gets pushed aside for someone prettier.
But once again, we are looking at this with modern eyes. We see waitress and think low status. The Greeks saw something entirely different. Hebe's name doesn't just mean youth. She is youth. She is the living, breathing personification of the Greek ideal of kalos, the perfect, glowing, vibrant prime of life. The Greeks were terrified of old age. To them, growing old was a curse, a slow decay, a loss of self. Gyrus, the god of old age, was depicted as a shriveled, pathetic old man. The Greeks were obsessed with the beauty of the human body and its peak form. Hebe was that peak, immortalized. She wasn't just serving ambrosia, she was the source of it. The gods' immortality was directly tied to their eternal youth. Hebe, by serving them, was the one actively maintaining their divinity. She wasn't a waitress. She was the living fountain of youth, the one who kept the gods from becoming, well, old.
Her role as cupbearer wasn't demeaning. It was one of the most trusted positions on Olympus. She was the one who fed the gods their godhood. But her most important role, the one that truly explains why she was worshipped, comes at the very end of another hero's story. After Heracles, the greatest of all Greek heroes, endures his 12 labors, after he is betrayed, poisoned, and burns himself to death on a funeral pyre, he finally ascends to Olympus. He is granted godhood. And what is his reward? What does this man, who has suffered more than any mortal, receive for his lifetime of pain?
He doesn't get to be king. He doesn't get a new continent. He gets Hebe. Hebe is given to Heracles as his immortal bride. This is the ultimate prize, the final reward. For all human suffering is not power, not gold, not land. It is the eternal, perfect, unfading youth she represents. Heracles marries the concept of being young forever. Is Hebe useless? In terms of action, absolutely. She's a celestial bartender. But in terms of symbolism, she is the entire point of the hero's struggle. She is the why. She is the happily ever after at the end of every Greek hero's bloody, tragic story. The Greeks worshipped her because she was the one thing they all craved and could never, ever have: youth forever. Rank 3. Ares, the god of war, who always loses. This one might be controversial. How can the god of war be useless? His entire portfolio is combat, conflict and courage. Easy, because he's terrible at his job. I give you number 3, Ares, the god of war, and the official punching bag of the Greek pantheon. Ares is not the god of victory. He is not the god of strategy. He's not even the god of fighting well. Ares is the god of the ugly, brutal, chaotic, and often stupid side of war. He is bloodlust, rage, and panic. He is the guy who charges in screaming with no plan and gets a spear in the gut. And he gets a spear in the gut all the time. Let's look at the top hits of Ares' failures. This is a god, mind you, son of Zeus and Hera. First, there's his famous humiliation in the Trojan War. He's fighting on the side of the Trojans. His sister, Athena, the actual smart god of war, is on the other side. She decides to teach him a lesson. She empowers Diomedes, a mortal, to fight him. Diomedes, with Athena's help, hurls a spear and impales Ares. The god of war screams in pain as loud as 10,000 men, Homer tells us, and flees the battlefield, running back to Olympus to complain to his father Zeus. Zeus, in turn, basically calls him a whining crybaby and tells him to stop being an embarrassment. But that's not his only defeat at Athena's hands. Later, in that same war, Ares confronts her directly. He charges her. She, being the goddess of strategy, simply sidesteps, picks up a massive boundary stone, and hurls it at his head, knocking him flat on his back. The god of war, taken out by a rock. But his most famous failure isn't even in battle. It's in the bedroom. Ares is having a long-running, not-so-secret affair with Aphrodite, the goddess of love. The problem is she's married to Hephaestus, the lame god of the forge, the bumbling, crippled craftsman. Ares is the god of warriors. Hephaestus is the nerd. But Hephaestus is smart. He crafts an invisible, unbreakable golden net and rigs it over his marriage bed. The next time Ares and Aphrodite are in the act, the net drops, trapping them in a deeply compromising position. Hephaestus then does the most humiliating thing possible. He doesn't fight Ares. He invites the entire pantheon to come and look at the naked, trapped god of war. He is a god of war who is beaten by mortals. He is a god of masculinity who is outwitted by a cripple. He is a god of rage who is constantly made to look like a fool. He is, by any measure of competence, profoundly useless. So why worship him? Why would anyone, especially the pragmatic, intelligent Athenians, build a temple to a god who represents failure? Because the Athenians feared him. You're missing the point if you think the Greeks only worshipped gods they liked. They worshipped gods they respected and gods they feared. The Athenians in particular were terrified of what Ares represented. They were a society built on logic, law, and logos, reason. Ares was a logos. He was the loss of reason. He was the red mist that descends on a battlefield,
turning a disciplined soldier into a mindless killer. He was the panic that breaks a phalanx. He was the mob rule that over-tramples democracy. Ares wasn't the god of strategy. That was Athena, and they loved her for it. Ares was the god of the horror of war. The Greeks, especially the Athenians, didn't worship Ares to celebrate him. They worshipped him to contain him. They built his temple, the Areopagus, outside the main city walls. It was a sign: you are a god and we respect your power, but you stay over there. Worshipping Ares was a form of spiritual insurance. It was a prayer not for victory, but for a clean war. It was a plea: "O great Ares, please do not infect our soldiers with your mindless rage. Please do not let our city fall to bloodlust and panic." And what about the Spartans? They loved Ares. Why? Because the Spartans, unlike the Athenians, embraced the brutality. They built their entire society around the very things Ares represented: brutal discipline, unthinking obedience, and a glorification of violence. Ares is not useless. He is the most terrifyingly useful god of all. He is a mirror. When the Athenians looked at him, they saw everything they feared their society could become: chaotic, violent, and irrational. When the Spartans looked at him, they saw everything they wanted their society to be. He's useless as a warrior, but as a symbol of the dark, animalistic, and terrifyingly real heart of war, he is absolutely essential.
Hey, we're at the halfway point, and we've just covered the god of total chaos. Now we're about to shift to the goddess of total calm. If you're enjoying this deep dive and this different way of thinking about mythology, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We do this every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. All right, back to the list. Rank 2, Hestia, the goddess who does nothing.
Now we come to number 2, and she is, without question, the most boring, most inactive, most passive goddess in the entire pantheon. Hestia, goddess of the hearth. Her mythology is, well, there isn't one. Seriously, search the great myths, read the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Theogony. Hestia is absent. She has no adventures, she has no love affairs. She doesn't fight in any wars. She doesn't have any children. She doesn't scheme or plot. She doesn't even leave the house. Her entire mythological footprint consists of 2 non-events. 1, both Poseidon and Apollo wanted to marry her. She said no to both and swore an oath of virginity. 2, when the god Dionysus ascended to Olympus, Hestia voluntarily gave up her own golden throne to him just to avoid a conflict. That's it. That's her whole story. She is defined by what she doesn't do. She doesn't marry. She doesn't fight. She doesn't even hold on to her own power. She just stays home, tending the fire. She is the goddess of not doing things. By the standards of her dramatic, chaotic, and ambitious family, Hestia is the ultimate failure. A divine wallflower, the most useless god by a mile. And yet, Hestia was perhaps the most important,
most deeply revered, and most universally worshipped god in all ancient Greece. This is the central paradox. Why would a civilization of warriors, poets, and philosophers dedicate their lives to a goddess who does nothing? Because Hestia wasn't just the goddess of the hearth. She was the hearth. And the hearth, the oikos, was the single most important concept in Greek life. Let me explain. In the ancient world, the fire in the center of your home wasn't for ambiance. It was your light, your warmth, and your kitchen. It was the technology that kept you alive. If that fire went out, your family was in mortal danger. Hestia was the goddess who was that flame. She was the divine presence in the literal center of every single home. But it goes deeper. The oikos, or home, was the basis of all Greek society. Before you were a citizen of Athens, you were a member of a household. Hestia's fire was the symbol of that household's continuity, its stability, its very existence. When a baby was born, it was carried around Hestia's fire to be welcomed into the family. When a bride married, she took fire from her mother's hearth to her new husband's home, linking the two families through Hestia. And it goes even deeper. The polis, the city-state itself, was just a family of families. And every polis had a prytaneum, a central sacred building, and in the center of that building was a public hearth, where a fire burned eternally in Hestia's name. This was the city's soul. If colonists left to found a new city, like Syracuse or Byzantium, what did they carry with them? Not gold, not a statue of Zeus. They carried an ember from Hestia's fire in their home city. Hestia was civilization. While Zeus was busy throwing lightning, and Poseidon was causing tsunamis, and Ares was bleeding in a ditch, Hestia was the one actually holding society together. She didn't need myths. She didn't need adventures. Why? Because she was everywhere. She was the quiet, constant divine presence that made family, community, and civilization possible. She gave up her throne for Dionysus because she didn't need it. Her throne was the center of every home and every city in the Greek world. She wasn't useless. She was above the petty dramas of the other gods. She was the stable center around which all that chaos revolved. The Greeks worshipped her first and last. Every single sacrifice to any god began and ended with an offering to Hestia. You had to invite her, because without her, without the hearth, the home, you couldn't even make the sacrifice. She is the most useless god in terms of action, and the most powerful god in terms of meaning. She is the ultimate proof that true power isn't about drama. It's about stability.
Rank 1. Hades, the lord of the useless.
And so we arrive at number 1, the most useless god in the Greek pantheon. He is a god who is utterly useless to the world of the living. He has no festivals. He has no great adventures. He doesn't answer prayers. He doesn't offer blessings. He doesn't smite your enemies. He doesn't control the weather, the crops, or the tides. He has, in fact, almost zero interaction with the human world. His one major myth, the abduction of Persephone, was likely a deal he struck with her father, Zeus, behind her back. He is a king who rules a kingdom of dust, a god of the past, a silent manager of the dead. I give you our most useless god, Hades. The other gods are active. They are a constant, meddling, dramatic presence in mortal life. Zeus's affairs and furies shape kingdoms. Poseidon's wrath sinks fleets. Hera's jealousy starts wars. Aphrodite's passions doom cities. Hades does his job. He stays in his realm, he counts the dead, he makes sure the gates are locked. He is the divine accountant. In the Iliad, while all of Olympus is taking sides, tearing the battlefield apart, Hades is only mentioned once. He's terrified that Poseidon's earthquakes will crack open the earth and expose his moldering, dreadful kingdom to the light. He's not a participant. He's just the janitor, worried that the party upstairs is going to break the plumbing. He is utterly, totally, and completely useless to the living. And that is why he is the most important god of all. Think about it. What is the one, single, absolute, inescapable truth of human existence? What is the one thing that unites kings and slaves, heroes and cowards? Death. Hades is not the god of dying. That's Thanos. Hades is the god of the unchangeable, absolute, and final state of being dead. And because he is the god of an absolute, he is the only god who is absolutely fair. Zeus plays favorites. Hera is a tempest of grudges. Poseidon is notoriously unreliable. The Olympians are capricious, emotional, and petty. Hades is not. Hades is the only truly just god. His laws are absolute, and he enforces them on everyone, including himself. The dead stay dead. That is the rule. When the great hero, Orpheus, comes to charm him with music to get his wife back, Hades agrees. He is so moved, he bends his own law, but he gives one condition: don't look back. A condition he knows the mortal will fail, because the law cannot be broken. When Sisyphus tries to trick death, his punishment is eternal and absolute. When Tantalus, a son of Zeus, betrays the gods, his punishment is eternal. Hades doesn't care about your bloodline. He doesn't care about your wealth. He doesn't care about your prayers. He is the god of consequences. And this is why the Greeks were so terrified of him, they wouldn't even say his name. They called him Pluton, the rich one. Why? Because all the wealth of the earth, the gold, the silver, the gems, comes from underground, his realm. But more importantly, all the agricultural wealth, the seeds that create life, must first be buried in the dark, in his kingdom, before they can sprout. Hades is not just the god of death. He is the god of the wealth that comes from death. He is the god of the cycle. He is the ultimate useless god because he refuses to play the games of the living. He is useless to your petty mortal dramas. He doesn't care about your wars or your love affairs. He is the god of the end. And by being the god of the end, he gives meaning to everything else. Without Hades, without the finality of death, Heracles' labors mean nothing. Achilles' choice means nothing. Helen's beauty means nothing. Life itself is just an endless, boring, divine soap opera. Hades is the god who makes mortality matter.
Conclusion: the true meaning of useless.
So, why did the Greeks worship these useless gods? Because they weren't just worshiping power. They were worshiping meaning. They were worshiping the very fabric of their own society. They didn't just build temples to the storm, Zeus, or the sea, Poseidon. They built temples to the sacred message, Iris. They built temples to the hope of eternal youth, Hebe. They built temples to the fear of chaos, Ares. They built temples to the stability of home, Hestia. And in their quiet, terrified way, they honored the certainty of death, Hades. These useless gods aren't useless at all. They are the most profoundly useful gods in the pantheon. They are the mirror the Greeks held up to themselves, reflecting not their ambitions for power, but their deepest, most complex, and most human anxieties and hopes. The pantheon wasn't just a collection of superheroes, it was a complete, nuanced, and brilliant system for understanding the world. And it understood that a society needs more than just warriors and kings. It needs messengers. It needs hope. It needs to contain its fears. It needs a home. And it needs to remember the end.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep seeking the lore.